For political plays of the week, you know, the big topic right now is a hurricane possibly going to make landfall. Hasn't done so since the mid-2000s. This is Donald Trump's possible first chance to respond to a natural disaster. How well will he do here, guys?
I think this is a big deal. It was the hurricane in '92 was crushing for George H.W. Bush. It demonstrated an inability to be effective in government. And this isn't dealing with Congress. This isn't the press. This is a natural disaster. So the reality is this. If this becomes as bad as it could be, and the president responds in a poor manner, or FEMA's not ready, or they seem unorganized, I mean, this is supposed to be the president's wheelhouse. So I think this is it is a real moment in time. You never want to trivialize one of these issues by just making political hay out of it, but make no mistake about it. If the president missteps, a lot of political hay will be made out of it. And if he responds well and gets high marks across the board, then not from the media, of course, but from the public in general, then I think that's a big feather in his cap.
Bill's exactly right. We've seen how quickly this storm has grown in intensity. And I think that this is an opportunity for the president to display how quickly he can pivot and be responsive, because he's been one of the greatest critics of government being responsive to the people ever since he's had Twitter, right? So now this is an opportunity for him to put people above politics, for him to be responsive and to show care, and I think that can go a long way with the American people right now, because the American people are desperate for it, and this could be a very serious situation.
Of course, that is expected to make landfall as early as tonight, and like you said, could be the largest hurricane that's hit the U.S. landfall since 2005, expected in Texas this week, and our thoughts and prayers with them. It's a very, very dangerous situation there.
They benefit from the fact that Texas has a great emergency management structure already in place.
Thank goodness.
Right.
My goodness. Switching gears to another topic, a lot of people still talking about the Confederate monument issue we're seeing throughout the country. Some of these cities taking down Confederate monuments. No word what will happen here in Arkansas. Your thoughts?
So we know how both major political parties in the state have responded to this call about removing these monuments. What we've seen the Democrats call for is that the monuments that are on public lands be moved to private lands, where they can be maintained privately instead of with taxpayer dollars. A lot of people would tell you that these monuments belong in museums, that you can learn about your history through books and in libraries, and that's exactly where I fall on this issue. You know, I think that we have to think about what a monument is at its core. It's a symbol. It's something that we celebrate. It's something we use to commemorate a certain moment in time. The monuments, as they stand, commemorate a part of the darkest chapter in our nation's history. And they don't all mean the same thing to everybody. So I think it's very important to have memorials that mean something that can unify people instead of highlight something that's very egregious in our past.
I think the test should be this. If you were able to pick out on a map where this monument was a month before all of this silliness started, then you have a legitimate gripe, or you have a legitimate defense, one way or the other. The people that we saw down in Hot Springs last week defending this monument, I mean, those are not historical scholars who want to, as Jessica said, who want to pay tribute to the history of the South, or whatever it might be. The monuments have been appropriated for a political cause. There's no purity here in terms of the actual debate about what these people want to do, whether it's to take down or to defend a monument. So my thought is this: if you knew where that monument was a month ago and it offended you, or you felt like it was a symbol that needed to be defended, then hats off to you. You're one of the 1/2% who's actually involved in this debate.
And I would like to just add, a large number of the monuments that exist around this country that are Confederate monuments were erected during a certain time in our nation's history that just happens to coincide with the civil rights movement. It was certainly a response to equity being granted to other populations of people in this country. So there is a reason why people are not buying the argument that this is to celebrate history, because that's not what it is.
But I do think this. You know, this is what ISIS does. They go into towns and they tear down monuments that offend them, and they move on. Now, I'm certainly not correlating the two, but the hysteria that has surrounded this. I mean, somebody named Robert Lee, who's an Asian sportscaster, can't go to Charlottesville and broadcast a game now because his name is Robert Lee. I mean, we are reaching a level of sort of stupidity with this debate. Not what Jessica's saying today, but the extreme nature of this, I think, needs to be check before something really dangerous happens.
Bill, you used the word stupidity. Is it an over-sensitation? Are we being overly sensitive?
We want to victimize ourselves. And listen, this is on both sides of this debate. Again, let me make clear, there's no purity on either side of the extremes of this debate, because the people who appropriate these Confederate monuments or appropriated the Confederate flag, the battle flag, not the actual flag of the Confederacy, but the battle flag, the stars. Those people did so not with a pure heart in mind. I mean, these are not historical scholars. These are people that appropriated these issues to use them for their own political purposes. The flip side has happened too.
Jessica, very quickly.
Well, and Bill made this great point when he pointed to ISIS as an example. ISIS also is a group that uses vehicles to murder people. And there were people who were celebrating these monuments who were basically celebrating the fact that someone ran a car through a crowd. They are proud of it. ISIS does the exact same thing.
No doubt about it that what happened in Charlottesville should be classified as a terrorist act.
That's right.
And should be done so by Homeland Security, because the philosophy is the same. But at some point, we've got to wrestle some control here with some actual adults who need to step forward and lead on the subject.
We're out of time, but Jessica and Bill, thank you both
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you, and we are back with our forecast tracking Hurricane Harvey right after the break on this Friday morning. Thanks for waking up with us.